Hey, what's up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over the picks and don't picks for each and every role. I have a couple heroes for each role, some heroes that were buffed, some heroes that weren't buffed. And on top of that, I want to go over a couple of heroes, well, one hero for each role that I also wouldn't suggest picking. Even if that hero was buffed or left somewhat alone, I wouldn't recommend picking it. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the GameLeap website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. Alright, so starting off for the safe lane, the hero I would recommend not picking is Drow. Drow has shot up to a 50% win rate, and the multi-shot buff is significant. Don't get me wrong, right? It's definitely good. 2 seconds cooldown on, I would argue, her most important ability. I guess she only has 2 active abilities, but you get the point. It's good. It was a good buff. But I don't know, I don't think the hero's very good. I don't think it's very good against a lot of the meta mids. However, to be fair, at average MMR, I would say a lot of the heroes that are good against Drow, like the gap close heroes, aren't as popular and hard to play. And so, yeah, Drow is a very average hero. I don't think this buff makes it a pick hero for me, and so yeah, I would kind of stay away from it. But heroes I would pick is Spectre. The hero did receive a nerf in 1 base armor, but that changed almost nothing. Wraith King, who also got nerfed. Yeah, he lost some skeleton damage, but he's still incredibly good and definitely one of the best carries. We then have Meepo, who got completely left alone and received no notable buffs, but is still one of the top carries of the patch. Yeah, basically you have to be a spammer though, so I wouldn't recommend just picking it up off a whim. Definitely something to play in unranked before ranked. And then finally is maybe Mixed Gyro. I think Gyrocopter is actually quite a bit better now. I have for a while now been liking the Rocket Barrage build, but people have been doing like homing missile plus flak, or 1 point barrage, 1 point homing, max flak, then stats, like that kind of route. But I genuinely believe that the strongest gyro build is a Rocket Barrage based build. And the main reason why is it gives you that slow resistance on a very low cooldown. It also allows you to fight back in the early game. And personally, I don't really like the gyros that just go jungle and don't help their team. Like, yeah, they'll show up with flat cannon and a cooldown maybe for the fights, but it's pretty underwhelming damage in a lot of games. And so if you go this Rocket Barrage, it was now buffed. It does, instead of 6 damage at level 1, 8. I mean, this is a huge buff, right? It's going to do way more damage at level 1, and from 12 to 14, right? It's two more damage at all levels. It's going to be very noticeable in securing these kills, and the ability gives slow resistance. Gyro is a very kiteable hero in the early game. Like, slows destroy the hero, so having this ability really helps deal with that. And yeah, as you skill it up, it lowers in cooldown. And you can use it to farm. The only thing you have to do is aim for a mana neutral item. To be fair, if you get Duelist Gloves or Spark of Courage, you should probably take it, but a Cold Bracelet is good. Arcane Ring is fine. Things like Tumbler's Toy and the slow thingy, good too. But yeah, I really like the fact that on this hero, you can take Rocket Barrage damage, and at level 10 you can take movement speed during Rocket Barrage. Like, these are good talents. This Rocket Barrage damage at 20 is insanely good, and then you buy your shard and you do a ton of damage. And I think honestly this buff will just push people towards what I consider the better build. I think for a while now I've been kind of a hater of the stats flak, and yeah, I would give it a shot. I have a video in the past about the build that I recommend on this hero. It's kind of a weird one. It's Mask of Madness with Falcon Blade, but I think it's incredibly good with the Q, and you should check it out. Alright, now let's get into mids. I would highly suggest not picking Earth Spirit. The reason why is the hero was already hard. It was already a 47% win rate. And now the recent nerf, most notably to Heart, the change to the hero was also very significant, where the cooldown does not start counting until the roll is over. So previously, especially when you had your level 10 rolling boulder distance talent, when you click the ability, it would start going on cooldown while rolling. So by the time you got to your target, you might only have 3 seconds instead of 4, and that's going to help you be very mobile for getting in, getting out, right? But yeah, the hero was already hard. They nerfed Heart pretty significantly, and they nerfed the hero. So I would definitely suggest staying away from it, even if you see your favorite pro players still playing it. For heroes that we would pick, we have Necro, who got nerfed very hard this patch, lost about 2.5% win rate since the time of me checking, but I still think the hero is still incredibly good. It's going to scale well. Didn't lose really much of anything for the laning stage. A little bit of regen on the Heartstopper, but nothing to truly kill its very dominant and consistent laning stage. Farms fast. The shard is still incredibly good regardless of the nerfs. And yeah, I wouldn't shy away from Necro. Then we have Kunkka, another hero that got hit pretty hard. 10% less damage reduction. on the boat. The tidal wave does, I think, 75 less damage. And finally, the Ags, a big selling point of the hero, instead of being a 5-second duration, is now a 4-second duration. And the cooldown is a little bit worse. I don't think any of these things really take away from the fact that the hero can play incredibly fast, and the Ags build still scales pretty well. Yeah, it received 20% nerf, which is very significant, and has hurt the hero. Also, the tidal wave losing damage is rough, right? Because you wanted to kill people off with this nuke. It definitely adds up. The hero lost quite a bit, but I don't think it's that weak. I still think it's going to be a very well-rounded hero for the patch. Torrent Storm still ignores status resistance, apparently, from what I've heard. The ability Torrent still just clears waves very effectively, especially after the change, how it does damage, even if it doesn't hit the person, it slows. Like, this ability is just insane. Torrent Storm is still insane. Yeah, I really believe in the hero. Then we have Zeus, who I personally think is best with like Phylactery into the Kaya Yasha into Manta Shard build. I think that build is incredibly good and should be looked at. And finally is Lone Druid. I think this hero is straight up broken and didn't get nerfed in any sort of fashion. And I really think Lone Druid will be a top pick of the upcoming patch. Alright, next up we have the offlane. The hero I'd avoid is definitely Bristleback, and I think that's a pretty easy one. Out of all the heroes of the patch, he arguably got nerfed the hardest, up there with Chaos Knight. And yeah, Chaos Knight, honestly, you can still pick. But Bristleback just got slaughtered. It was already kind of a rough winner hero in your average pub because the hero is a little bit difficult conceptually, I think. Required a lot of flash farming in somewhat difficult ways. But yeah, now he just got neutered quite hard, so I would stay away from him. Hero you definitely can pick is the highest win rate hero in all of Dota right now, which is Slardar. Slardar, very, very impressive win rate. I think a couple of the builds that he goes, like the Blink with the Mask of Madness Blink BKB is very powerful. I think the Ags build is incredibly powerful. Personally, I think the main selling point of the hero for me is the Ags build. Definitely seems pretty damn strong to me, going like a Mask of Madness Blink Ags or BKB Ags. Is very, very powerful, and yeah, I definitely love those builds. That hero didn't get touched, right? Slaughter didn't get touched, but it's just good, man, yeah. Then we have Lone Druid. I'm not going to say too much. It's just a broken laner. I think the Diffusal build is insane. The Wraith Bands at minute 25 make this hero untouchable. Both of its shards are broken. It has 2 separate shards. On the main hero, it increases movement speed and attack speed and dispels the bear and the hero. And on the bear, it's like Flaming Lasso. It's like really crazy. It's this crazy, crazy spell. So yeah, I don't know. Lone Druid is just broken in my opinion. And even though it's like somewhat of a hard hero, its win rate's very good. And then we have Wraith King, good hero, got nerfed, whatever, it's still good. Sand King didn't get touched, but the Ags build, the scaling on the Ags build is just incredible. Can't be understated. Just one of the more powerful offlaners in your average pub due to the fact that it's late game team fighting, mid to late game team fighting is very devastating, right? The Ags is just brutal to play into. And then maybe Timber. This is the last one I want to add here. He receives a very strong buff of 3% extra on stacking loss when you hit someone with your Q. I mean, that super matters. And the hero's win rate did shoot up by 2%, but at the end of the day, it's a very hard hero mechanically and conceptually. And I would say a lot of the nerfs it received in the prior patches still are kind of weighing down Timbersaw. Unless you're kind of an expert or want to become one, I would stay away from it, but it's definitely someone to consider if you're looking for a new hero to put a lot of time into. Next up for position 4 is Muerta. She got some heavy nerfs. I still think she's decent, like clears waves very effectively, still scales pretty well, like still has a 60 attack speed slow on the Q on the W at max level, still can dispel itself with its ulti, so it's stupid hard to kill, clears waves as I was kind of saying. So I don't think it's like conceptually a bad hero, but the laning stage that was giga oppressive is now quite a bit worse due to the nerf of the W. I still think a lot of pros will consider picking it up. I think it's still a reliable laner, didn't really receive any nerfs to its like stats or anything like that. So it's just a W, but it was heavy nerfs to the W and the hero's a bit hard to play, so I would stay away from it. Tiny 4 though is an interesting one, definitely shot up in win rate. It only is a 47% win rate hero right now, very mechanically intensive, and I think in order to make this hero look good, you have to use Tree Throw in lane with Avalanche to harass people and buy stats. Don't buy boots. Buy like Branch, Blood Grenade, 6 Tangos, Fairy Fire, Mango, Sentry type vibe. You know, don't go boots, please. Like take your Tree Grab level 1, and then now Avalanche is 30 less mana at level 1. That is incredibly good. So this hero is way easier to pressure with in the laning stage due to this mana buff. And yeah, you just gotta learn how to toss back. The big advantage of this hero is toss back. If you can't do it efficiently and effectively and consistently, you just shouldn't play him. So yeah, I would look into Tiny, but you gotta make sure like play him in overthrow and get down the toss back. Then we have Nuker Gyro. He's in both of my support groups. Yeah, basically you take the Q at level 1 and it's much better at trading now. The hero's been a good support for a while. The shard is incredibly good. The shard technically got buffed with this update to the Rocket Barrage. The hero has good stats. I don't know. I think Gyro's just a pretty good hero. I think the Q is in one of the best spots it's ever been in because of the fact that it has slow resistance and now it does more damage and it works with the shard. I'm just a fan personally. I think it's good. Then we have Witchstalker, who got pretty notable nerfs. Like they nerfed the stun and now farms way slower. However, I feel like a lot of people didn't even use it to farm, and so it probably didn't hurt that many people because the hero dropped from a 55% win rate to 53, which personally I thought the Q nerf was big enough to hurt him more, but apparently not. I mean, you also could technically not skill stun, but I think that's sort of insane with how broken this ability is nowadays. Like, it's a reliable chain stun in most fights. So yeah, Witchstalker still good, still scales well, the Ags is still insane, the Shard is still insane, the stun is still insane in team fights, so definitely a good hero to look at. And then finally a Shaman, who received a pretty notable buff at 5% damage increase on the Hex. It's most notable when the ability actually lasts a good amount of time, which is at max level, so in the laning stage, I guess you could kind of Hex and a nuke, and then it does 10% more damage, which is something. But it's mostly about when you get to the point where it does 25% damage amp, which is a ton on the Hex, right? It really will let you help burst people. Just get on the same page, click smokes with your teammate, and then the big thing about Shaman is the later the game goes, basically the more you can hit a timing where you can get like Ags Refresher or Refresher, and you can help your team go high ground. Because in pubs, a big thing that happens when you're winning the game is you can't end the game, and Shaman really helps deal with that, with obviously the Serpent Wards on the high ground. And finally, for the 5 role, I would avoid Lion. Yes, he received buffs, but I personally just still think the hero is not good. It's not horrible, it's like a 47% win rate hero, but it's just, yeah, you got cast range on Q, which was significant, and definitely helps the hero be much better early on, like, especially for trading. But I don't know, I just still think that he just lacks something. Like, the hero doesn't provide wave clear, it's not hard to kill. I guess it depends on the heroes. Obviously, some heroes Hex is very good at defending against, like, the spirits, for instance, but yeah, I would stay away from Lion. For 5 heroes that I would pick, AA, even though he got nerfed somewhat hard, still incredibly good. Gyro, we talked about that one enough. Warlock didn't get touched, but he's very good. Same thing with Jakiro. And finally, Treant Protector. This hero got nerfed, but it's like AA, right? For the 5s, honestly, no real 5 buffs besides Lion, I guess. And yeah, Lion isn't really good. The heroes that are good on 5 are heroes that were already good and didn't get nerfed very hard, like Treant and AA. But if you want to try a fun one, I definitely recommend the Gyro. It's honestly such a blast to play this build. You kind of go like a Veil, like buy Veil with Shard. That's going to be your build. And it cooks, man. You do a lot of damage, you're pretty tanky. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!